of this money be reinforced and sent back to the Ministry of Gender and sent back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so that we have embassies in these countries where we take the migrant workers that are well sourced, that they can drive to a point where there's an issue. They can put up lawyers that will answer and deal with the girls' complaints, that they can take these young ladies in case they're sick, hospitals, so that all these issues that are being brought up can be looked into, and we ensure that every migrant worker that lives here, once they get to the destination country, they are safe. Because we need to know we don't have employment here. And this gives us a short-term measure to ensure the migrant workers we deploy are working in safe conditions.
Okay, before you go and before I go to Abdallah here, one quick question. You said people who are going to these other countries like the Kingdom of Oman, like UAE, like Qatar, where Uganda has no any bilateral agreement regulating that they are going there illegally. Do you want to say that the companies under this umbrella of yours, there's no company that sends workers in those countries?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. As I said, in the Kingdom of Oman, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, we do not have any by Jordan as well, because Jordan was there, then it was revoked. So we do not have any running bilateral.
So do your companies under this umbrella of yours, do they send people to these places to work, yes or no?
No, licensed recruitment agencies should not, because there is no protection for the domestic. Yes, for the domestic workers.
You use the word should not, but they do, right?
No, they don't. Like I said, if you're not in the space, they do. They are all.
So I'm going to ask you that maybe you can send me in DM the list of the companies that fall under this association of yours, and then we cross-check that. But for now, let me go to Abdallah Kayonde of Migrant Workers Voice. Thank you, Banura. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Agatha.
Kayonde, can you hear us?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're welcome to the space.
Good evening, the members platform. I want to appreciate the initiative brought about our labor export business. It's really a good one that has finally brought us all on the same table to discuss it widely. I want to appreciate the previous speakers, the victims, and all other colleagues in this industry. I want also to thank Mr. Spire for the initiative in particular. My name is Abdallah Kayonde, and I'm the founding president, Migrant Workers Voice. I've been listening in, though a bit disturbed by the network. For me, I want to use that line of, I'll call it a lamentation. I'm sorry to term it that way, because issues of labor export are overdue, you know. By the time Mr. Spire and others have come up to echo it to this magnitude, I mean, we have seen it enough. And I'm only surprised that the Ministry of Gender did not actually realize that of recent, even their business is down, and they don't ask why all that is like that amidst even the outcries continuing. So there are many questions we have to ask. First and foremost, I want us to separate these issues. We take away the emotions, the egos within this whole thing called labor externalization or labor migration. For us, from the voice of migrant workers, we have had many cases to an extent that we actually got satisfied and went ahead tailor, to propose solutions to this score. Not once, not twice, but several times. We have approached the state, the authority, the regulator, that is the Ministry of Gender, including other, even Parliament, and so many other people we have tried to talk to, and realized people don't understand actually the whole thing called labor export, including officers in the ministry. I'm sorry to say even the commissioner on the panel today, I want to provoke him, Mr. Eguru Lawrence. Him being the one in charge of externalizing Ugandans abroad, we are wondering how the gatekeeper doesn't know, how people get out of this country. He was charged to actually clear, assess, and these Ugandans, the potential economic migrants, amidst a situation we know, the government knows, even people in opposition know that this country and the system it runs or it embraced, that is capitalism, open market economy, it brought us to where we are. We are totally divided. Everyone is in business. Now, government came to embrace this thing called labor export, not knowing it is a business that they are going to deal in human beings. The human beings that are being exported, government did not mind about their welfare, did not mind about how they must be supported to achieve whatever takes them out amidst the push factors that are unavoidable. Even the migrant workers or the potential workers who are living this country, be it affiliated to the opposition of this country or to the government line, these people are all potential jobless Ugandans who cannot avoid going into this mayhem we have heard of, we have seen in the Middle East. What challenges us within the investigations we are making is that even the victims are not settled. You can rescue someone today and you find her tomorrow looking for a passport to go back. So this question goes to the government, and also it goes to the people who, the likes of us, all of us who are advocating for the rights of these workers, or these potential Ugandans who are leaving this country, amidst the push factors we know and how they came about. The question is, should we go back to the drawing board and resolve what is pushing these Ugandans to leave, to migrate in sheer numbers? What is chasing them out of their country? Maybe that will be the right answer for the questions we are asking ourselves, even after we have exposed ourselves or even accepted to go within. The biggest question here we should all ask, should we go and ask the questions of minimum wage and the questions of the law, the jobs being low in this country and what creates it? Should we ask the question of prioritization of who should be an investor in Uganda before bringing a foreigner to come here and open up a factory? Should we ask a question, who should take this priority? Maybe that one in one way can help to curb the numbers of those who migrate in sheer numbers to go for better jobs or better opportunities. That's one. So if we know that all that is as it is and we have failed to handle it, we shouldn't ask ourselves so much why the neighbors are torturing us. If you cannot feed your own well, how do you stand to blame the neighbor who is torturing them? That's the question. If we have failed to give better salaries, and even when the victims cannot avoid going there, amidst the outcries we know that these people are kafara practitioners, they will tie themselves on us, they will buy us, and the government will come out, endorse agreements to sell us there, then it keeps quiet because it knows it has already compromised. It goes ahead to actually continue taxing each head officially, each job order of a person who is externalized within this arrangement is charged $30, which Madam Winnie has just talked about. One should ask yourself, what was it for and who pays it? Before you say that this $30 as an arrangement of government to protect its own, the other side, is paid by the one whom you are going to question tomorrow, why have you raped? Why have you not paying somebody salary? The boss in Saudi Arabia, the Arabs are the ones paying the $30. Therefore, how do we stand with the right back to use their money against them? That is a question we should ask. In the line of government, the line of Mr. A Guru and his docket, where they are comfortably discharging Ugandans, clearing them to go, but they know they are compromised. Their system is totally a system trafficking. It's a system trafficking. Now, going back to the other question, when you are going to do labor export, what do you put in consideration? You must ask, how many players do we take these Ugandans? Okay, those who want to go, do we take them as stakes in the decision we are making for them to go, or we shall sit with Uwera or sit with some two people around us, decide on behalf of workers? That puts workers in the position of subjects. That puts workers in a position of not being able to collectively bargain. It jeopardizes, in other words, their right to collective bargaining, their rights to association, their rights to defend, to stand up and claim for whatever they deserve in their contracts. All that is jeopardized from day one, from Uganda here. Those Ugandans who cannot avoid leaving this country, whether through licensed companies or trafficked, they will always find it hard, to stand and defend themselves simply because they have got no stake. They are seen as objects. You have heard several times the Ministry of Gender coming out to speak on behalf of workers. We used to ask this ministry, are you the migrant workers? Are you the Kadamas? Or you depend on Twitter, on Facebook and whatever you see on Facebook, and then you begin lamenting on our behalf. Do we have an official body that represents these workers' interests? Or you want to subject the interests of workers to the recruiters, to their recruiters who are commission agents? These are lacunas, but anyone who is keen and wants to resolve this problem, like Mr. Spire, should go and unpack who earns what and how does he earn it and what is his role. There you will find a lot of compromise, and actually you will find that the ministry itself is an accomplice. The recruiters themselves are accomplices into whatever wrong that is taking place their side. Because you ask yourself, how do you as a ministry come into your regulation and say that the recruitment agency shall be responsible to monitor what it has already sold on a profit? Because these recruitment agencies are not NGOs. They recruit everyone on a profit. They are in a private sector. They are doing business totally. How can they protect their profit? Can Mr. Egru tell us if he really resonates? How can a recruitment agency has cleared protect its profit interest and the workers' rights before the ministry comes out all years to say that monitoring and follow-up is a responsibility of a recruitment agency? This has pulled all Ugandans around. That's why you find Ugandans getting puzzled when their own are crying outside. They don't know where to run. The reason why you see many small organizations and associations cropping up is as a result of this gap, that the ministry itself doesn't know what to do. And I want to take you also to another phase where we shall separate the powers of diplomacy and the powers in this kind of private sector. What are we supposed to do? Where is the mandate of the embassy and the ministry, which is based in Uganda, which has no jurisdiction or desk in Saudi Arabia or any country where they're recruiting? Where is their mandate in the jurisdiction where these girls are or workers? When we go abroad, we have jurisdiction. We can do anything to actually support ourselves. That's if the hosting government gives us that money to do so, in which they have to, for as long as they are signatories to the international labor standards. But here is the question: how does Uganda be able to protect, using its embassy, to protect its interests, its diplomatic interests, and the civil liberties of the Uganda migrant workers, or wherever they are in any country? I mean, we have had many Ugandans in different states, but the reason why some of them still fall in traps of wrong people or travel wrongly, because the only option they have, that they were told it is safe labor migration, it is also another system trafficking. It is another vague system that exposes them. This is where you find that more workers within the zones where Uganda has bilaterals are more crying than those in the traffic zone. How many Ugandans, for instance, now you hear from Oman or wherever, any other place, crying out than those in Saudi Arabia, where Uganda has a bilateral? So you ask yourself, what is the purpose of this bilateral? Is it to exploit Ugandans? What is the intention? And how does it yield? Why are they first to charge the $30, which $30 cannot be even given back to do whatever they had proposed it to do? So you ask yourself many questions, and then you say, now, going to diplomacy, what are they supposed to do as an embassy? Where do they stop? And when do they have to come into labor matters? Because according to the Vienna Convention, these missions will never be allowed to intervene into issues that go beyond their limits or their immunities. They will have to stop somewhere. But now here is Uganda, which thinks that their own will stop crying, calling for them for assistance just out of the blue, when they have not reorganized their house, when they have not reorganized understood their status quo. We have not, first of all, understood what is pushing our own. And even if they cannot avoid going there, we cannot organize where they are going. When they come to discuss bilaterals and we submit or suggest anything, let it be during the amendment of resolutions, these people will never take in our opinions as workers. They will always want to decide for us, something that makes us believe that indeed they are agents of kafara system. They are trying to cover up. They want to cover up so that they can earn something out of this business.
Let's allow Gulu to respond, and then we'll get back to you. Dr. Gulu, I will not ask any question. I'll ask what you have to say about what we've had in the space here.
Agatha, thank you very much. And let me first pay tribute to a great person, and that's Dr. Spire. You've really inspired us, and you brought us into this space. I loved every moment of it. And for the 7 days, I've been glued onto my computer or on my smartphone, listening, reading, and responding to every little question, every little misconception, every little appreciation, every little criticism. And I'll tell you what, this is my nature. I never want to win an argument, never. I don't put anybody on the spot. I'll never do that, because here there are no winners and there are no losers. Because if we are not on the same page, we are all going to lose. It's heart-wrenching, and I use that word again and again, listening to what Joanne brought to the table. And it's not the first time I've heard this. We've met in other fora, and it's a very painful story. And I'm very sure I was going to end up your way as well, because when I finished university, and that's not yesterday, I've been around a while. I got a passport, and my first port of destination was going to be to the Bantustans. I don't know if anyone of you still remember what that is. Probably the only person who gets to that level is Dr. Spire. The Bantustans were what the apartheid South Africa constituted as homelands for the blacks, away from the rest of where the white man lived. You know, there was the apartheid system, which did not allow the populations to mix, so the black populations were far away. So the Bantustans, you know, you had Boboputswana, you had, you know, where these people, that's where I wanted to go after university, because there was no hope in this country. And I'm very sure I was going to be another trafficked person into any of those Bantustans. And probably I would have ended up in the new South Africa. But yes, you've had a lot of challenges. Our sincere, sorry, mea culpa for all the pain that what you've gone through. I know a bit about trafficking in other parts of the world. Trying to cross the Rio Grande into the United States, you know, the Central Americans on the train all the way, you know, trying to get through to El Paso, into Texas, you know, these sub-Saharan Africans, you know. So this is what I'm trying to say, is that this is not new. So what Joan is saying happens in other parts of the world as well, unfortunately. So you have, you know, the Golden Triangle, you know, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Myanmar.
Dr. Gulu, I have two concerns.
One, can you allow me to speak just like you allowed the others to speak? Because I'm bringing...
No, because you see the others, I get a feeling you are really going around in circles, but also when you say what Joanita went through has happened, happens all over the world, it's like you're trivializing it.
Can you allow me?
When you started by saying you loved every bit of it, I wondered what exactly you loved about it. But please,
can you allow me to
let's
the context?
Yes.
Because I understand where I'm coming from.
Let's get to the point, Dr. Gulu, please. If
I am trying to situate it, because when I say that I liked every bit of it, it's because it was a learning experience. Everybody is in this together, so everybody's opinion mattered, and that's why I was glued onto it, and I thought that's what you would understand it to be, the fact that it matters to all of us, that this is everybody's business. Trafficking is everybody's business, and therefore we should all act together. But I'm also saying that this is not a situation that is limited to Ugandans. It's everywhere, and it's happened. It's a multi...
Did we lose him? Dr. Gulu, did you mute your mic?
Microphone is muted.
Really pointed at the genesis journeys. Because of desperate situations in Uganda, the unemployment situation is very dire. Minimum wage, the median wage in Uganda, 1,000 in the Middle East, somebody will jump because they think that's where to go. And you know, you can't blame them. It's a situation that we have in the country. We can't close borders, you know, as a government. We can't close borders. We cannot stop issuing passports. We cannot start saying, hey, you look like you're going to be trafficked at Entebbe, go back home. That would be another crisis. We cannot stop that. People will travel. So that's why, you know, for the government, which I joined 6 years ago, FYI, only 6 years ago, is to have safe, orderly, regular pathways for Ugandans seeking better lives abroad. Because, you know, like Joan, they would still travel. They would still find ways, even if you even if you put the Trafficking in Persons Act, implemented it to the letter, people will still find ways out of this country. Others will be misled. Others will go because they are desperate, they want to get out. Others will think, dollars flow on the streets, so let me run away from this country, let me go. So they will leave. So are we doing the right thing? I think we are. Are we perfect? Not at all. Is every country perfect? We are absolutely not. Point is, people will travel. How do we make sure that they get there safely? How do we ensure that when they are there, a few more things need to be done? Whether it is migrant workers themselves, whether it is the embassies abroad, whether it's the government here. And I tell you what, I also get frustrated with what, as a government, we are not doing. Remittances. We are talking about $1.2 billion a year. Not tax revenues. We are at about $25 billion. That money goes to the consolidated account. Do I have a say in it? No, because I'm an economist. And economics 101 says a tax is a non-quid pro quo transfer to the government. So if a tax comes to the authorities, I do not necessarily demand 100% of it. I wait to be apportioned. And here the onus is on Parliament. Parliament then
what
give
is
back
the problem?
So that we are able to do all the things that we are not doing, whether it is monitoring, whether it is
now ask
putting
the
in place
maybe
better mechanisms,
open-ended,
including jobs at home. And that is my clarion cry all the time. Let's have jobs at home, dignified jobs at home, so that Ugandans will stay at home, so they don't get desperate and cross the street, run to the next available boat or plane or through the border and get into situations that are as bad as they are now. Trafficking happens, unfortunately, simply because there are not enough decent jobs in Uganda. We need to invest in jobs at home. We need to invest in better pathways for our people to travel abroad. That's why we are saying new destinations. I am not a fan of the Middle East, and I think that one has been known to everybody. I do not love signing out our girls to go as domestic workers. We have been to school. We have some of the best universities in the world. There is no reason why we should be confined to cleaning people's toilets or to clean people's, bathrooms and looking after old people. Even when you are an economist, you have to bend low and you become an Uber driver. No, we are better than that. So that is why, even with my own government, we say, do better, get better jobs for our Ugandans in the country, look for better destinations for our Ugandans out of this country. The Philippines started with domestic workers. That's why Obama's nanny was a Filipino. But they have not stopped there. They have progressed and they're now into other areas of work, other more professional jobs. That's where we need to go. Our negotiations with other countries should not just be about trade, about scholarships, about investments. They should also be about how do we ensure that our professionals access jobs in Canada, in the United States, in the European Union, in Japan, even in the Middle East itself. Americans are earning tons of cash. The British are earning tons of cash. Have you seen the people on Emirates Airlines? Who are the pilots? Who are the engineers? Who are the ones building the Burj Khalifa? There are other nationalities, not necessarily Uganda. Those are the positions that should be open.
Dr. Gulu,
as well.
Can you hear me?
That is where we need to go. New destinations, better skilled Ugandans accessing jobs abroad, and not necessarily the kind of jobs where people cannot negotiate for themselves. And unfortunately, we are at the lower rank in terms of jobs abroad in the Middle East. That is the biggest problem. Why are the British not fighting for their own citizens? Because their citizens
why don't we mute him and
why are the Americans
not to really have a conversation about
this? They are the top notch. So that is where the country needs to be headed.
Let's have a
jobs abroad, yes, but we need to gradually graduate.
Doctor, it's unfair that you're speaking without listening to the moderator, and I think it's just fair that you listen to her.
When you talk about the fact that Ugandans are suffering, yes, they are suffering because we are at the bottom. We cannot be at the bottom of the food chain forever. We need to move to a higher level, a higher grade. Those are the jobs that will attract better salaries.
Okay, I have
and so on and so forth. So I would talk on forever and ever, but we are really in this together, and I'm not here to win any argument. I'm not here to defend government. I'm not here to defend the recruiters. I'm not here to defend myself. I'm here to defend Uganda and Ugandans, and I think that's where we need to have this debate. Thank you very much.
Dr. Egulu, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Agatha.
No, I want to know if...
Yes, I had stopped there basically to say this is where we need to be...
Conversation. In what he said,
Agatha, I've stopped there for now.
I did not
I
hear
think we'd love to hear from the audience as well.
That really adds anything to this conversation. You're not the moderator. We are asking, and you're telling us this is where we should be. We are asking, why are we not there? We are asking, why are Ugandans calling home for help when they are stranded and the government does not help? We are asking, where is the problem? Why is everything that we've listened to here, why are these things happening? Could you just answer for us that instead of telling us here and there Filipinos and whatever, just that, so that we know where the problem is, if we are to get any solutions on this space. Is that very hard, Dr. Gulu? Well, I don't think she's going to respond. Let me go to... I wanted to ask Ndagire one question.
I request to respond, Madam Moderator.
Hold on a bit, Mr. Kayonde. I'll get back to you. So today that we cannot expect any solutions from government, because if even their representative can't listen to us or answer just simple questions that we are asking to know where the problem is, where they are finding trouble, making sure Ugandans are not dying in the Middle East so that we see where to help. We are on our own, as it were. I'm going to, Mr. Kayonde wanted to speak, then I'm going to allow the audience to speak. I see a gentleman that said he works with the diaspora human rights defenders, and this gentleman is among the people that have petitioned Parliament over these issues. But Kayonde first, then we will start with Joe and the rest of the members in the audience.
Madam Agatha, I also request to just clarify on one thing, if it's okay.
Kayonde first, then you, Madam Banura.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I think you have seen what we are telling you. The lacuna is in the Ministry of Gender, because they are charged with the responsibility of all this we are asking. Even the officer in charge is not interested in what he does. He has said it openly. And for some of us who are a bit radical, we have gone bare knuckle with him, because he doesn't listen. If he was so much floating in the air, too much educated, he uses English and he fools around everybody, he thinks he doesn't remember that he's dealing in informal sector. The girls who are suffering, some of them did not even reach P7, but they passed through his clearance. And he has told you openly, me, I'm not interested in this. I even don't wish people to go to Middle East. And he's the officer in charge of external labor, whatever, employment. I want Mr. Spire to question this. He's the officer in charge, but he's charged with what he doesn't have interest. Do you think these Ugandans can have any justice wherever they go? The man who exposes them is here, naked with us. Now, I want to give a way forward for us who think that this is going to stay. And we have seen it, that maybe we're not getting the answer. We try to tailor proposals that can at least keep the status quo or try to change the narrative, and we support our own. The migrant workers who are living in this country deserve to have a better living, a better welfare, a soft landing home and away. That when they leave, they are assured of being cared about, just as the Philippines are done. We wonder why Uganda is not benchmarking and trying to borrow at least what the senior practitioners in this kind of practice are doing. They come here and lie to themselves. Ugandans deserve to have a social welfare package, a social welfare arrangement. When we suggested that to ministry, the minister went ahead and started confusing us with NSSF. These are separate things that everyone who wants to help these workers should think and actualize. That if we are to come up with a social welfare arrangement which can assist those who cannot avoid going into the danger the other side, these arrangements should entirely be a migrant workers arrangement that can support them because they cannot avoid going. Secondly, we need to have the insurance of those who are leaving this country. And that comes with a database because you won't be there claiming to be suffering abroad when you left without anyone's notice. The people who are claiming I was trafficked, I got A, B, C, D, we must have a database specifically talking about Ugandans or capturing Ugandans who are leaving this country, regardless whether you were taken by a licensed company or you went on your own. Because even people have a right to travel on their own and get jobs abroad. You cannot stop them. So how does Uganda as a country protect them than going into the confusion of the ministry is the only one that has to allow them to go? Okay, if it has to allow them to go, of what advantage, what alternative, or what extra service does it give that can actually attract everyone to go through them? We have seen most of their own suffering even more than those who are trafficked. So in our proposal, we propose for a social welfare arrangement. If at all, we cannot avoid going, whether you believe in government or not. Once that arrangement is there, like a free pass, you will see people trying at least to avoid this kind of challenge. And also, looking at the leadership of migrant workers in this country, today, you are looking for information. You don't know even where to go. The very people we are questioning, like Mr. Guru today, cannot give you even information. They don't know where people are. The information is so much scattered. You cannot tell about the labor industry of Uganda and understand it because it has got to know where you can go and rely. For those of you who are in advocacy, you know what I'm talking about. So we need to look into that, a database, and also be mindful that our own are getting engaged into a kafara system. How do we go about it? Should we emulate or benchmark ourselves from the companies or the countries that are already there, also deploying in the same zones? Should we look at how the people that are being deployed are being handled, their remunerations, their salaries? I mean, the issue of salary disparities, I had one of the victims talking about it. Some people are paid differently and others differently, yet they are doing the same work. How do we come about that? Should we think about the element of inclusion of every stakeholder? We push whoever is responsible to understand that even migrant workers are human beings. They are above 18. They are adults. Whatever happens to them can partly be part of their decision. How do we make them also responsible? Not only to think that they can also accept to be exposed or move because of poverty and whatever, and then at the end of the day, start calling for anyone who doesn't know even where they passed. Can we look into that? And we leave the page of lamentation to action. We learn it a hard way and reach to an implementation that can benefit both of us, those who agree with government and those who do not. To me, this is what I see. Then another thing, very important, social orderliness. If we are looking for justice, I know, Madam Moderator, you are an activist and you're a lawyer. You know, you cannot, there is no justice without social order. Where have you ever got it? So you cannot be here saying Ugandans are suffering. They are suffering. How do you know them? Oftentimes workers have called us in the night and early in the morning seeking for help. But these are all strangers. We don't know them. You cannot own them or even claim to know their details. These workers, it has reached a time where a country has to stand up and stop hiding about this business. And they say, we have a leadership of migrant workers in this country. The people who are charged with the responsibility A, B, C, D. These people will do their work independently without being compromised. Not what the Madame Banulas are saying, that they are deploying coordinators in Saudi Arabia who are paid by Arabs to monitor workers. This now takes us to the other question. can a fox be in charge of a meat store? Because the people they choose to represent workers or who go on behalf of these workers overseas are paid by the very victimizers. These are all questions that how do we put them back to line? We have to embrace the element of social order. Can we have some leadership where whoever has a question can go? Can we have a call center in this country recognized and empowered by government to listen in to problems of workers day and night? It should have workers who are paid independently to care about these workers. Also, we should also try to look at the element of we not being given a fair share. If we contribute generally taxes, what is the cashback? How does the Ugandan diaspora benefit from whatever they remit home? That question should be put, next. How does the general diaspora benefit from whatever they pay? Or they will just collect our money, then the next day they leave us suffering in whichever states we are. I thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. Banura, in a few minutes, we need to go to the audience. Our time is fast spent.